December. Ugh. Can't believe we're in the final month of 2023, and I don't know how much more I'm going to get through this, because it's basically crazy at work, and on top of that, it is the last month of the year, and I am going to be on winter break with the occasional check-in, but kind of leading into a good point. This is Student Consuel. So this episode begins with Starlight and Trixie hanging out, but we see that while Trixie wants to have a picnic, Starlight is frequently popping in and out with a basically magic type of bracelet that she wears. And basically we kind of know where this episode leads, because Starlight has to constantly go back and forth or between, well, spending time with Trixie and going back to the friendship school. And naturally, Trixie gets really annoyed. And is that really like school counselor worthiness? So after the theme, we go to the friendship school. We see Starlight basically talk to Silverstream as she talks about her own issues. Yeah, so you could probably see that Starlight is basically now officially the school counselor of the school, but she is pretty backed up, and the time frame of this episode is that supposedly it's supposed to be spring break. So why is it that all these creatures are coming to Starlight with their own problems like the day before?
How would you describe a shower to creatures who live in water? So far I've got warm and steamy. Actually, steam has water in it. Silverstream, there are a lot of students who want to see me today. I just need a few shower adjectives that don't rely on the wet part. Well, there's clean, relaxing, relaxing. I don't know. I guess relaxing too. Warm and clean are okay. Wow, I have to give this some more thought.
So before Starlight can basically pull the next person, Trixie basically barges in to basically have enough. I feel bad for this poor pony. Like, whatever his problem is, he's just like, aww.
If we leave now, we can finish everything before sundown. Trixie, I can't leave. It's almost spring break. Twilight and the others have already left to celebrate the spring solstice in Camelot, and I have to help the students with any issues before they head home for the holiday.
But that's kind of an issue, because if you say that all the other teachers have already left, shouldn't that mean that you get the right to be free too? Like, it's spring break. Like, whatever problems that you have, they'll forget about it by the end of the week. So, yeah, I think with this setup, you kind of get an idea where this episode's going to go. So while the door essentially knocks, Trixie basically explains to Starlight what exactly is going on and why she shouldn't be so consumed by her work.
But I hope you haven't forgotten about the spring solstice.
So basically, Starlight, because it's so wrapped up in the work, ends up forgetting the spring solstice that basically her and Trixie had planned for Sunburst, Maud, her boyfriend Briar. Yeah, those three, because, well, they're a small circle of friends, and naturally seeing Starlight's reaction gets Trixie really annoyed.
Sunburst is coming to town. You and I promised to make the cake. How can I possibly forget about that?
This is what I will give this episode. Much like some other episodes, especially like in Frenemies, I do like the animation and the facial expressions. It really does crack me up. Not only do we see Starlight's expressions earlier in the episodes, but in the scene where the pony tries to get in, Trixie just gives her own Chrysalis look, which coincidentally, as I said, into Where and Back Again, they're both voiced by Kathleen Barr. But Trixie's look to the pony is like, make one move and you die. So I will give this episode this. It does give me a few chuckles, even if the setup is a little bit predictable.
No pony is saying your job isn't important, but plans you make with your friends are important too. I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have forgotten. Obviously, I need to be available to my students, but that doesn't mean I can't help with all the things we have to do.
But that basically raises a question, Starlight. Why is it that you haven't exactly set up office hours? This is now kind of a red flag that I'm just realizing. That's why she's working herself to the bone, is that she hasn't set up any kind of set office hours. Because obviously, the guidance counselors aren't going to be open 24/7 the entire day. You know, they have their own lives too. So why hasn't exactly Starlight set her own office hours? Who knows?
Good. Great. So, what are all the things we have to do? Mom needs streamers for the decoration. Sunburst wants us to pick up a genuine pre-equestrian spring solstice chafing dish from the antique shop. Of course he does.
I really like that reaction when Starlight basically hears what Sunburst asks. She just knows him that well. Because that's what she just figured of him, so I like that.
Flower wants a bouquet of flowering sticks, whatever that means. And I thought we were both looking forward to Mrs. Cake teaching us a secret recipe.
So, like I said, because we know how predictable the setup is, we kind of know where this leads, where basically Starlight tries to help out Trixie with all the stuff, but she's constantly getting pulled back into work to basically make Trixie do all the things on her own. And I gotta admit, we do get this pretty funny moment when basically, Gallus and Smolder argue. So I will give it that.
Hey, where are you on?
Like I said, it's little things like that are completely funny. But like I said, basically we kind of know where this setup basically leads, where because Starlight is so gung-ho on her work that she basically barely spends any time with Trixie to help her get the supplies that she needs. So because of this, Trixie basically stops by the guidance counselor's office to basically, tell Starlight what to do.
Trixie, what are you doing here? It's the one place I knew I could find you. I am so sorry about today. I'm just so busy. I know. Obviously, your students are more important than your friends. That's not... Starlight, you have a minute? Actually, Silverstring, I don't. Besides, I need to lock up the school for the holiday, and it's time you caught the train home. I'm sure a smart and capable student like you can figure out the solution to any problem over the break. But for now, the counselor's office is closed.
Now, I really like the fact that basically, this is what I will say about this episode. I do like how Starlight does set the boundaries with Silverstream. Because, let's be real here, this is kind of how I feel at work. Literally every day. So I really do like how they don't, continuously, try to prove Trixie's point that Starlight is kind of getting so caught up in her work. Where basically it's now at that moment where Trixie, finally puts her hoof down to basically set that boundary, but is still being respectable about it. Yeah, some reviewers can make the argument that it's kind of a dickish maneuver, but it's when you're moving back and forth literally the entire day, and it's you need to talk to somebody else that's really not work-related, you gotta set that boundary.
I have a cake to bake.
So they basically go over to the secret cave where... so they basically go to the secret cave where they bring the cake over, and we see Sunburst, Mud, and Mudbriar return.
Is this cake supposed to be so sharp?
Like I said, the reactions just make it all that more humorous. I really like the shots where you could see the hint of that tiny angry vein coming out of Trixie's head, knowing that Trixie is the one who made it. And I'm sure that Mrs. Cake and Starlight had to put up with all that. Well, I think mostly Mrs. Cake, given what Starlight had been going through.
I mean, it looks really interesting. Technically, it's not symmetrical or aesthetically pleasing.
Okay, so You may recall from the frickin' rock solid relationship episode that Mudbriar was introduced in the prior season. You may know that I really was not the biggest fan of Mudbriar, and even right now, like, I get the whole shtick of him, but it's like, whatever. Honestly, I think because it's only the second and final season, and as far as I know, this is like the last episode that Mudbriar is a speaking role, as far as I know, I'm just like, whatever, because Mudbriar's fine, I guess, now, but it's just like, the whole Sheldon Cooper shtick, I'm just like not a really huge fan of. And I know comedy is subjective, but it's just like, it's not my style of comedy. But whatever makes Mods happy.
Maybe it's not the best cake, but we made it together, and that's what counts.
I'm glad you brought it. And everything else.
So before they could celebrate, believe it or not, Terramar from Surf and Turd basically comes busting in to basically say that Silverstream is missing. So naturally, this gets Starlight to freak out.
Silverstream didn't come home?
I was supposed to meet her at the Mount Eris train station, but she never showed up. It's a long way between Ponyville and Mount Eris. She could be anywhere. Our parents are leading teams of hippogriffs and sea ponies, searching the land and sea between here and our home. They sent me to check the school.
But the school's closed. All the students are gone.
Are you sure? I know she had a big project due for Twilight. Do you think she might have stayed to finish it?
She never told me about a project. Well, to be fair, you closed your office the last time she came by. Really?
Trixie, you seriously have the worst timing.
What kind of counselor turns away a student with a problem?
You know what, I wouldn't make the argument to this, but the fact of the matter, and I know that Terramar doesn't know the full story, but if he was at the school and saw how hard that Starlight had to work and basically bust her ass, then it's like, screw you, you little brat. She's been like working very hard, and she basically didn't set up any office hours. So, idiot.
The kind with too much on her plate. Starlight has always gone out of her way for her students. And I mean always.
Even though it sounds sarcastic, Trixie does have a point, and I really would like to see a scene where Trixie and Terramar are just butting heads over this whole thing. Though I will admit it would have been rather annoying, but Trixie does have a point.
Except apparently when it matters. This is all my fault. You all go back to the party. Terramar and I will check the school. We'll find your sister.
I should have known I couldn't laugh.
Okay, I will admit, Maud definitely gave me a good laugh. So, just as they suggest, Terramar and Starlight basically roam through the entire school, but so far couldn't find anything, but they then decide to check on Silverstream's dorm to see what exactly she's been working on.
Oh, she's not here.
No, she isn't. But look at this.
Cockatoo?
That be what her project was on? You didn't think she went into the Everfree Forest to find a cockatrice by herself, do you?
I don't know, but I'm going to find out.
So essentially the others basically literally bump into Starlight and Terramar, and essentially they want to join her to help.
What? The gaze of the cockatrice is known to petrify any who dare to cross its path, and the reptilian birds are elusive and solitary. Where would we even start?
I have a lot of experience telling ponies that I have experience with the dangerous creatures of Everfree Forest.
Yeah, and, well, we know how that went. But yeah, let's just recap the cast of characters that are going on in this mission. Because it's now at the point of the episode where the episode starts to actually start to pick up for me. Because basically the first half of the episode is, let's be honest here, really predictable and kind of boring because we kind of know where the setup is. But once we get to the actual adventure part, once Terramar comes in, the stakes are not only raised, but this is when the episode becomes engaging. But let's go over the cast of characters in this episode that go on this adventure. Starlight, Trixie, Sunburst, Mudbriar, Maud, and Terramar. not exactly the cast of characters you would expect to be focusing on adventure in this episode. So it's really interesting to see these characters kind of working together on an adventure and bouncing off one another. So they go inside the Everfree Forest to begin the search to find Silverstream. As Trixie basically... So yeah, we kind of know what this is because, well, given that it's Trixie, I do like the shots of the adventure where we see Trixie basically trying to be like, well, a directional pony, but because, well, it's Trixie, she doesn't really have any idea where she's going.
I'm just here.
Trixie, do you have any idea how to find the cockatrice? No, but usually when there's a dangerous creature in the forest I don't want to meet, this is how I meet them.
We might need a more concrete plan. According to Silverstream's research, cockatrice prefers rocky terrain and ample shade.
Rock and shade. I can't imagine where we'll find that in a forest.
Actually, rocks aren't the most hospitable environment for shade trees.
Technically, pine trees like Pinus cambra or Pinus sylvestris can grow from narrow crevasses or cracks in a rocky rising.
I'm not gonna... Okay, I gotta admit, that basically makes you crack a smile, so whatever makes Mom happy, I'll just accept it as is. So, unlike back in Season 1 when we first met the cockatrice, we basically then come across a giant horde of them, and basically we kind of know where this leads, as basically then the cockatrice basically then jumps on them.
You do. Look at them. Their gaze can turn you to stone. So what to do?
Run away! Run away! So yeah, so basically the only solution is for basically Starlight's group to run away. Starlight and Sunburst basically then get outside, while the others are basically, well... Starlight's first able to rescue Terramar and Trixie after Trixie uses her smoke bombs, and we see Maud basically trying to fend them off on her own, because, well...
I'm not leaving him.
And just for the sake I can make this joke for Mudbriar.
I was chosen today!
I've always wanted to make that joke. But yeah, basically Mudbriar's turned to stone, and I think that might be a good thing since it's only been a few minutes. So essentially the cockatrice do eventually find the group as they continue to hide and run and basically do what they can to run away. But then they come across the castle of the two sisters with basically the new Tree of Harmony clubhouse, and basically they're able to get inside just in time.
We found a good place to hide. There could be hundreds more cockatrices on the way.
Yeah, given that those cockatrices could easily go through the giant cracks in the wall. Oops.
If this really is a migration, it will take a full lunar cycle to complete. Oh, I have to get word back to our parents that Silverstream could be surrounded by those terrifying birds.
And as handsome as Mudbriar is now, we should probably catch one of them to turn him back to normal.
This is all my fault. I'm never taking time off from my counseling duties again. That seems a little extreme. Really? If I hadn't off to a holiday celebration, Silverstream would be safe with her family, and you'd all be enjoying lots of parties.
And let's be real here, because I think pretty much this episode's basically kind of hinting at is that basically this episode demonstrates the amount of stress you have when you have a working job, but you're also trying to spend time with your friends, and that 9 times out of 10, you feel a lot of pressure on yourself because you feel the need that you have to stay on top of everything at work, that you barely have any time off, take any time off from work. And believe me, my company encourages me to use time off as much as possible. That's bold. So we basically kind of know what this episode's moral is that basically you can't prioritize your outside friendship side and your work environment. You have to find a balance between your work and your social life. And that's what this episode demonstrates. And like I said, it did start slow with the predictable setup, but once we get to the actual adventure of the search for Silverstream, that's when the episode really starts to pick up. And I definitely I can appreciate this episode for it. Well.
Instead, my student is missing. We're surrounded by a flock of petrifying chicken snakes, and Mom's boyfriend
like I said, and I can understand why he makes Maud happy, and just seeing her smile just definitely cracks me up. That's another thing I'll give this episode, just the little jokes like that here and there, those little lines just give me a nice smirk for me to laugh at.
To top it off, we have no idea if Silverstream even came to Everfree at all. But I have no idea where else to look. Is that all that's in there?
Oh yeah, and they also ask about as I said, the Young Six, crystal clubhouse from the Tree of Harmony.
What? Oh, that's the student's treehouse. Apparently it grew from the Tree of Harmony and...
But apparently, believe it or not, this is the episode where we actually get for the first time we get to see what's inside the clubhouse. So, and based on some of the interior design, it does look pretty neat, even if it looks a little bit faded. But then they come across Silverstream with the cockatrice, but we see that Silverstream actually tamed one of them.
This is Edith. She's helping me with my project. I don't understand. After you encouraged me to solve my own problem, I decided to get my project done before I left. That way I could really focus on my family during my visit. The school was closed, so I came here.
Why didn't you tell anyone? Mom and Dad are worried sick.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Once Edith volunteered to help, I guess I lost track of time. Cockatrices are really friendly if you know how to interact with them.
Behold, Silverstream, the tamer of cockatrices.
I can't believe you figured out how to trigger her nesting response.
They are really fascinating creatures. Did you know that they migrate to the Everfree Forest once a year? Can you imagine what would happen if you stumbled on a whole flock of these?
Well, if you're not the cockatrice whisperer, we've already lived it, Silverstream. So essentially, with Edith's help, and I gotta admit, Edith's cockatrice design I find to be more impressive than the originals. But essentially, off-screen, we see that Silverstream, with Edith's help, basically bring Mudbriar back to normal.
Glad Edith was able to turn you back.
How do you tell the difference?
I have mixed feelings about it.
Technically, I will always be a stick pony, but the experience has given me an even deeper appreciation for the density and perfect of rock.
Like I said, it's little things like that that make me crack a smile.
Silverstream and I should get going, but I wanted to thank you for everything you did to help find her.
And also an apology for not seeing how hard Starlight works and the amount of pressure she puts on her. I'm waiting! Nope, that's what I thought.
I just wish I hadn't abandoned her in the first place. Starlight, you didn't abandon her. You might as well have. Even though it turned out all right, things could have been a lot worse.
You can't be expected to supervise your students every second of every day.
I'm not so sure. I like that you're always available, but it kind of makes it okay to come to you with stuff that maybe isn't super important.
And I think maybe while you're at Silverstream, you should probably tell the rest of the students that. Unless it's, actually serious, but, other than that, it shouldn't be for, little minor things.
Of course, being a school counselor is a big responsibility, but always being at work isn't fair to any pony, especially me. Do you think if I had set times to see me, it might help you decide what you really need to talk about?
She's literally thinking of this now. You know what, the moral's fine. I already explained what the moral of the episode is and why it is super relatable, especially when you're an adult, so I'm willing to give it a pass.
To be honest, you really weren't very helpful with the other stuff anyway. Yeah, wait, what? Happy spring so tastic, every pony. Who wants a piece of Mrs. Pink's famous?
Petrified dessert?
You had me at petrified.
So that was Student Consuel, and despite the predictable setup and the beginning of the episode being predictable, a little bit boring, and kind of rocky, I think the episode's fine. I gotta be honest. honest, I do think that this episode definitely has a strong moral, where basically this episode tells you that you have to strike a balance between your work life and your social life and not prioritizing one or the other. So I do appreciate the episode for that. I do like the journey that it goes on to. Like I said, the first half of the episode admittedly is predictable, a little bit boring, and honestly kind of annoying at points, if I'm being perfectly honest. So the first half of the episode is a bit rough to kind of get through because you kind of know where it's going to lead to. But once you get to the actual adventure of the episode, where the search for Silverstream happens, that's when the episode picks up. Plus, seeing these characters interact off each other was so interesting because we barely see them interact. So it's fun to watch them interact with each other and going on an adventure like this. Yes. And I really do like the lore of the cockatrice and how there is a way to try to tame them without, getting turned to stone. And plus, there's a couple of hints of jokes and the facial animations that really just kind of give me a few chuckles every now and then. But other than the stuff with Maud and basically how she finds Mudbriar attractive, especially when she turns to stone, other than those things, there really wasn't that many things that made me, full-on laugh at. I mean, a few chuckles here and there, but, nothing really all too serious. I think this is just one of those episodes that has a bit of a rocky start, but as the episode goes along, it does pick up, and I do think that the moral is very relatable. I do think it's a good episode, but there's just a couple things about it that kind of hold it back. Believe me, it's not bad. It's still a good episode, but I wouldn't say it's, like one of my top 10. It's still a good episode overall. So, I think the only fair thing to do is to give Student Consuel a B- at best. Yes, I would have given it a B just for how relatable the subject matter is, but there's just kind of a couple of things that really just kind of hold this episode back. But like I said, it's still a relatively good episode, and if you're one of those people that struggles to have that social life and work-life balance out, I think this is an episode to look to. So, final ranking for Student Consuel for me is a B-. Alright, so next time we are going to be looking at The Last Crusade, which is really weird given that this is only episode 12. But yeah, next time we will be looking at The Last Crusade. See you guys next time. Bye.